Hello, everyone. I wanted to make sure that I spoke on a topic that was very, very disturbing to me. The title is When Children Are Rapists. What happens? So, we're going to break down this video, and I hope you are not triggered by it. If you are sensitive to these topics, please, please do not watch this video because it is very disturbing, but it's not very graphic. So it's not videos, but the wording is disturbing. So here we go.
Safety alert after a 12-year-old girl was raped in a community garden. Police say her attacker is barely a teenager, and he's not the only one being charged as an adult. Local 10's Christina Vasquez is live in Miami with the horrific details in this case. Christina.
And I do want to start with a graphic content warning. So if you have some young ones at home, just know that these allegations are very disturbing and some of the content here is troubling. Police say for a 12-year-old girl in Miami's Overtown neighborhood, this community garden on a June evening became the scene of a horrific crime at the hands of.
So you're 12 years old? You're 13 years old?
Two middle school aged boys.
You have a grand jury indictment charging.
Now facing serious charges to include kidnapping as adults accused of a violent act of sexual battery. The 12-year-old victim telling police as she was leaving her friend's house, 13-year-old Nelson Nunez grabbed her, forcing her onto a couch in a community garden. Another boy restrained her, she said, and as 12-year-old Josiah Jones put rocks in her mouth to stop her from screaming, Nunez, she said, raped her. The co-defendants only stopping about 30 minutes later when they heard her father calling out her name. And just minutes ago, we learned from the Miami State Attorney's Office that there is a third co-defendant, a 15-year-old by the name of Xavier Tyson, who is also facing the charges in connection that he has to this incident as an adult. And those include felonies of lewd and lascivious, as well as false imprisonment. This is a developing story, and we have much more for you coming up on local10.com. That's our website. Reporting live for you, I'm Christina Vasquez, Local 10 News.
Disturbing indeed. When one of my board members sent this video to me, it was late night, and I watched it and I was like very emotional. And I'm going to tell you why I was very emotional, because these are kids, these are our babies. I have sons, right? I can't imagine as a parent that my son is the one that is accused of this crime, right? I don't necessarily blame parents. You can't really control what your kids do, right? You can teach them, right? And I'm not even going to say that the parents didn't teach these kids, because we don't know what the parents did. And I know that these parents are going through a lot. So I do want to say that I give grace, love, compassion to the parents of both, of the little girl and of the three boys, because I can't imagine being a mother, a aunt, a cousin, anyone in that community, knowing those children and knowing what happened. Okay, that's number one. And so sending love and compassion to the families, because it is a lot even to that community. What we don't always realize is that sexual assault rate, it really does affects the community. It's not just that family, right? It's not just those boys, the girls, the schools, the kids at school probably know. I don't necessarily agree with the little boys' faces being put on the media, being put on the news, because normally we protect children. We protect children. I have seen a lot of kids protected, and I'm not sure why they made the decision to show the faces of these little boys. Their lives are already ruined. I don't know if it necessarily helps the little girl. And the reason I say that is because this segment gave so much information that is a lot of people trying to figure out who the little girl is. Information was given that should not have been given. The little boys, the neighborhood, her age, that she has a father that is active in her life. Like, you could put the clues together to try to figure out who this victim is. That is why I say that. I always try to look at how we can protect victims, especially a 12-year-old young girl, right? How can we protect her? She is the most important in all of this. And I think sometimes we forget. People are nosy and they always want to know like what's going on, why the little girl was out there by herself, and they have all these conversations, right? But at the end of the day, it's not focusing on the little girl. How can we make sure that she gets help, that she gets counseling? She's not even going to go outside by herself, right? How can we protect her? How can we help her? She is school age. Will she even want to go back to school now? Because everybody knows about this. It is on the news. And so I love when the media shares information about sexual assault, rape, especially when it's an adult. But I also caution them when they're sharing the story to make sure that they are protecting the child. Okay, that is important. Protect the victim at all costs because it's very hard to be able to deal with this as it is. Okay, now, as the little boys, do I think the little boys should be held accountable? Absolutely. They are at an age that they know what's right from wrong. They held her down, they stopped her from yelling, they kidnapped her. And there also was an older boy involved. Now, when we're looking at trauma as it relates to young people, a little boy's brain is not all the way developed. So, a lot of times you will see that psychologists, therapists, counselors, the public defender will take this into consideration as if the child's brain developed, right? Do they know right from wrong? They know right from wrong, but what about their logic? Like, are they logically there? Okay. And don't look at this as me taking up for the boys. I always look at all aspects of a crime when it occurs because that allows me to make better judgment. Okay. So I'm not looking at it from the point of I am protecting them. I analyze everything. And I think that that is important, especially like for the judge, for the prosecutor, right? For all lawyers that are involved in this. Also, those boys did know better because they stopped when they heard the father calling, right? I do think that they should be held accountable. One thing about this case, though, I think it's important that parents use this to have discussions with their children. I know my son used to get so aggravated with me, my daughter too, because I would go and look at the news and say, these three football players just raped this young cheerleader and da 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 da. I probably didn't do it the right way, but it's a great opportunity to have a conversation with your children, no matter their age. You can have a conversation that's age appropriate. So, what would you do if this was your friend and they did this? How would you respond? What would you do? Right? Those are conversations that you can have. Would you tell me? Would you be nervous about telling me? Would you feel safe telling me? Why or why not? Do you think we should call the police if this happened to you? So ask questions, right? And have great conversations. Don't threaten your children. You better tell me if something happens to you, or you better tell me if this occurs. Don't say, I'm going to kill the person if they do this to you. I'm going to make sure that those kids are dead. Don't say stuff like that. What I want you to say is if it happens, that they could trust you and to come to you to have that conversation and that y'all will investigate it together and that you will believe them. Okay. That's what we want the conversation to be about. And if they don't feel comfortable coming and talk to you and they're nervous, have agreed upon person that they can talk to, that they can make sure that they feel comfortable. It might be an aunt, it might be an uncle, it might be the godmother, a godparent, right? Somebody that you trust that's going to talk to you, but also that you trust to have great information and advice for your children, because that way they could talk about it and how they're going to approach you about it. Okay. So please, parents, have the conversation, look at this case, see things that went wrong. um, I know that that community is hurting right now. It's a community that is poor. So when we look at crime and poverty together, that makes it even worse. So how can we love and learn from this occurrence? That was absolutely horrible. I would love your feedback. I would love to know what you think. Drop it in the comments and share your opinion. And just make sure that you give people grace. I always say that. Give them grace because this isn't good for any party involved. And pray for the little girl. Pray for her family. Pray for a good outcome for them. Mental health is important and that she receives the services and love that she needs. Peace and blessings to you all. And this is Dr. Vanessa. And remember that you have a right to tell it and heal. Peace.